The Ford Explorer used to be the best-selling SUV in America, later replaced by the Honda CR-V car-based crossover. The fourth generation was slightly updated in 2006 on a new frame with more modern styling, but still kept the same overall proportions and truck look of the third generation. So was the 2006 Ford Explorer a competitive choice for a midsize SUV back in '06? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Now, many of you know that this was the last generation Explorer to be based off of a truck, and it lasted from 2006 until 2010. It's also the last Explorer generation to have decent off-road capabilities. And then in 2011, the Explorer was moved to a car unibody platform. But with this vehicle being based off of a truck, you do have very handsome truck-like styling. Our trim of the Explorer we do have here is the Eddie Bauer trim, which Ford doesn't really offer on any of their models anymore. And then with the Eddie Bauer trim, you do get this classic two-toned paint that Ford used to love to do. And then you have the beige on the bottom and then the white on the top. I love the two-toned paint here. Reminds me of old Ford. Now also, when Ford updated the Explorer in 2006, they really wanted to make the styling more in line with the rest of their trucks and SUVs to keep up selling almost 300 to 400,000 units a year. Used to sell a lot of units per year. Now here goes the key fob for the Explorer. You have your unlock, your lock, and then your panic button, and then to release your trunk. It's your typical old Ford key. Nothing too snazzy here, but it gets the job done. Now you do have the two-toned white and beige exterior color. You also do have this pinstriping on the side right here, which is a nice added styling touch. Also comes with a beige leather interior. And then you have your power driver's seat with power recline and power lumbar, of course. Now stepping inside of this Explorer here. Now when Ford updated this in 2006, they wanted to make the cabin much more rich looking and have better looking materials too, because the third generation's interior was pretty bland overall. And since we do have the Eddie Bauer trim, we also do get this nice decent looking wood grain trim. And what you're hearing there was the standard 4-liter V6. Now you do have a full leather-wrapped steering wheel. Steering wheel rim is actually pretty thick, I have to say. I'm very surprised. Coming to your transmission, you have a 5-speed automatic. You also do have your overdrive too. No rear view camera here. This is 2006 and it's not a luxury vehicle. And I'm going to go ahead and turn on the lights. You also do have your fog lights and the hazards too. Automatic driver's side window. And let's go ahead and pop up the hood, check out this engine bay. You have a keyless entry pad that Ford still loves to use nowadays. Heated exterior mirrors. We also do have these 18-inch chrome wheels. They look pretty good in my opinion, fairly stylish. Halogen headlights with your halogen fogs. Now under the hood here we have your base powertrain, which is a 4-liter V6 single overhead cam. It produces 210 horsepower at 5,100 RPM and 254 pound-feet of torque at 3,700 RPM with kind of lousy fuel economy of 14 in the city and 19 on the highway. but what can you say? This is a truck-based SUV here. Now you can either get the Explorer in two-wheel drive or four-wheel drive. And like I said, the Explorer had decent off-road capabilities back in the day. Now it does also run on regular unleaded fuel, and there was also the option for a much more larger 4.6 liter V8. But we'll see what this baby could do when we hit the road later in the video. Now, competitors of the Explorer, you had the vehicles in the midsize SUV class. Some were car-based crossovers and some were truck-based SUVs. Now, competitors do include the Jeep Grand Cherokee, Toyota 4Runner and Highlander, the Nissan Pathfinder, Chevrolet Trailblazer, and the Honda Pilot. You also do have a rear window wiper with the rear window defroster, third brake light, and roof rails on the top right there. All of your basic power necessities, power windows, door locks, and your power mirrors. Now, one gripe I do have is the way the door handle is on the interior. You have to go like this to open it up on the inside. And a lot of people aren't used to that in vehicles. Alright, so let's go ahead and take the 06 Ford Explorer for a little spin. Now, one thing about the Explorer, especially this generation, is that even though this is a truck-based SUV, it has a very comfortable ride. And to be honest, I really found no reason why the Explorer needed to move to a car platform besides its lousy fuel economy, because to be honest, this V6 powertrain is very thirsty, and the V8 powertrain is even more thirsty too. But overall, the ride is very buttery smooth, to be honest, and it actually soaks up road bumps and road imperfections very well. Very impressed with the ride of the Explorer here. Now, with that being said, power from this 4-liter V6 we do have here is a little underwhelming, especially with only 210 horsepower. And I would certainly opt for the much more larger 4.6 liter V8, as that engine is much more smoother. Also, when you step on the pedal in the Explorer here, it does get quite noisy. However, the 5-speed automatic transmission does shift pretty seamlessly. So overall, I'd say that certainly the best attribute that the 2006 to 2010 Explorer has is certainly its very comfortable ride, especially for a truck-based SUV. And also, the 4.6 liter V8 is a much better powertrain. And many competitors back in 2006, as far as midsize SUVs go, many of them didn't offer V8 powertrains. You couldn't get a V8 powertrain in the Pathfinder, nor the Pilot, nor the Highlander. However, the 4Runner as well as the Trailblazer did offer a V8 powertrain. And let's go ahead and rev it up. Now, even though Ford updated this vehicle in 06 with slightly better looking materials and slightly better build quality, it still was lagging behind the pack in terms of this and compared to the rest of its competitors like the 4Runner. Now, you do have a nice soft touch mid-door panel and then armrest and then the center console lid, but that's where pretty much all the soft touch materials end, to be honest. Now, coming up here, we have a hard touch dashboard, which has a very cheap, scratchy feel to them. Very cheap feeling, to be honest. Now, it does look soft to the touch and everything looks high quality, but when you start to touch it, it really isn't all that high quality. Build quality is okay and was much better than the third generation Explorer, but it still was kind of cheap feeling. Some of the interior trim pieces do creak a whole lot, and for the most part it does fit well together, but the interior trim pieces do creak a little bit. Now, coming to the steering wheel design, this steering wheel is a little basic looking. On higher end trim levels, you could get temperature and steering wheel mounted audio controls, but you do have your cruise control right here, and then we also do have intermittent windshield wipers. The steering wheel does tilt, but does not telescope. Now, as far as visibility goes in the Explorer, it's excellent. Lots of side glass area all around. Outward visibility is okay too, but when you get to rearward visibility, it's pretty good for an SUV since this vehicle is truck based. Lots of glass area to see out of this vehicle. It doesn't have any sloping roof lines or anything of that nature. Now, coming to the seats are actually pretty comfortable overall, and they're decently plush. Thigh support is also decent too. I would certainly take this vehicle on a long road trip. Coming down here, we have your cup holders, a 12-volt power outlet, then your center console. Up here we have your auto-dimming rear view mirror, and then your AC controls for the rear passengers, and then your sunroof with your sunroof controls. And we also do have four-wheel drive on this vehicle. You have your high, and then your low, and then your automatic. And then you have your traction control off button. And then right here, these are your controls for the information display, which gives you your trim information, your exterior temperature readout, and then your odometer too. Average fuel economy data, and then fuel used, drive time. Decent amount of information there. Coming to your climate controls, very simple and easy to do. You have your zones right here, your temperatures, and then your fan speeds. Can't get any more simpler than that. Coming to your radio, we have a pretty basic system here. This is 06. We have an AM FM CD player with a 6-disc CD changer. Here's your presets right here. Very easy to figure out, but we do not have a premium audio sound system here. Now, what's also pretty interesting is that Ford in the kind of early mid 2000s used to have this aux button right here, and basically that was for if you wanted to hook something up to the radio, but you had to have something special to hook it up to, and you couldn't just hook it up like a regular aux cord how you can do nowadays, because I cannot find the aux cord, the input, anywhere in this vehicle. So you had to have something special to hook up your iPod or phone or anything like that if you wanted to play music, which was pretty interesting, to be honest. Now, coming to the gauges, I love the gauges here. They have a unique look to them, and also the font is very big, clear, bold, and in your face. You have your speedometer right here, and then your RPM gauge too, and then your fuel gauge. Pretty basic overall, but I love the font on them. Now, I did find a decent, comfortable driving position in the Explorer. Also, what I do love about the interior layout of the Explorer is that it's very truck-like, and since this vehicle is based off of a truck, it's gonna have truck-like styling on the interior and the exterior too. Alright, and I'm gonna go ahead and shut it down. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of the Explorer. Now, back here you will find a decent amount of cargo space, and the third generation Explorer, the one before this, was the first one to have third row seats. However, this was the first generation to introduce the power folding third row seats, which was also a pretty neat little feature of the Expedition back in the day too. But it's very easy to do. very convenient as well. You will also find a decent amount of cargo space back here. And you do have a door lock switch right here. However, the third row seats are certainly cramped, and they're certainly only recommended for small children and not full-sized adults. Now, build quality and materials do follow through in the rear. Still slightly soft touch on the armrest, but nice and soft touch on mid door panel, hard touch on upper door panel. These rear seats also do recline. And then to get into the third row, you have to pull this lever up, and then the seats will come and bundle on forward. Now, sitting back here, I have the driving position to where mine would be at. I have a decent amount of legroom. Remember that this is a mid-size SUV and not a full-sized one. Headroom is also okay too. Can't complain about that. Overall, it's pretty decent back here. We do have rear air vents, cup holders, and then a 12-volt power outlet. However, my only complaint is that we do not have a rear center armrest. Then you have dual map pockets too. Alright. Full manual passenger seat with manual lumbar. Glove box compartment, slams right down. Typical old Ford. So the 2006 Ford Explorer was an okay choice for a mid-size SUV back in 06. Its decent off-road capabilities, strong V8 powertrain, its spacious and comfortable interior, as well as good visibility, and handsome truck-like styling and agreeable and comfortable ride made it a pretty good choice. However, if you were looking for a mid-size SUV with better fuel efficiency as well as better resale value, there were certainly other SUVs to consider. So remember that this is Cameron Birch from Cameron's Car Reviews.